Welcome back everyone to more of our gameplay series of Farming Simulator 22. And I've been looking around since we were last together. Let's bring up the map real quick. So we have been right over here. Field 56 is the first field that we purchased, and of course we have been harvesting wheat from that. That is now done. I completed that process because of course we need to get it done by the end of the day before we move into the next month and potentially the next season. So I got that taken care of, and then I was looking around, okay, where do we go next? We have our production facilities in place. We have our, we have purchased, wow, this is way up here. So we've got our grain mill way up at the top of the map, and we may want to do something about that long term, maybe get it down a little bit closer by building our own. But then we also have our bakery. So everything is all set from that perspective. And just to take a quick look at where we are right now over at the grain mill, we have about 39,400 liters of wheat. So that's all the wheat that we have minus what's already been converted into flour. There you can see some of the flour there, and it shows that it's distributing that, and it's distributing over to the bakery where we have our flour sitting here being turned into bread. So everything is going along just perfectly. Now, if you remember at the end of our last video, the flour hadn't yet made it over to the bakery. It takes a few cycles to get that going, but after a few minutes, it's perfectly fine. So all of that is happening quite nicely. And then I noticed something. So the oats generally are used in making cereal. It appears in the production lines as outlined by the game. But I also noticed that you can make oat flour, and if you'll notice in the flour that is being created, it doesn't really make any difference what you're making it from. It all turns out to be flour. And you can notice that here as we click through any of these. So flour is flour as far as the game is concerned. So then I started thinking, okay, well, if we can use any of the cereals for that, then let's take a look on the map and just see what is around me. Now, I did want to stay in the same general area if possible. And of course, one of the downsides is I really wish they would enable you to save a configuration on the map so that you don't have to go through and do this every time. So now, if we look at just the top three, and of course, we're going to leave sorghum on as well. So any of these are perfectly fine. And I noticed, lo and behold, right down here, we have two fields side by side that are very much useful to us. So here we go, field 53, or excuse me, this is 54, is oats. Well, we can definitely use oats. And then right next to that, we have sorghum. Now you notice that the sorghum shows that it's still growing. It's not quite ready for harvest, but of course the oats are ready to harvest, and we can confirm that if we come into our crop calendar. But if we're going to do it, we've got to do it now. Now, unfortunately, the sorghum looks like it should be ready to go right now. It is within the harvest season, but it's not showing that it is. So I'm assuming that when we click over into September, that will show ready to harvest. If not, we'll just simply do it next time around. We'll hold off before purchasing that particular field. So keep that in mind. We don't have to purchase both fields right now. And in fact, I'm not going to. But I know that if we're going to do the oats, we need to get on that in a hurry. So I've parked our harvester over here on field number 53. So we'll just simply move it out of the way. And I've been thinking about some long-term plans beyond just this next purchase of these two fields, and been doing a little bit of work along those lines, and that's what we're going to talk about as today goes on. So let's go ahead and get this guy started. And okay, but of course, before we can get him started, we have to actually make that purchase. So let's go under farmland, and we are going to purchase, which one are we? Good gracious alive, I've already forgotten. 54. Okay, so we want 54. And you can see 54 has also got a little bit of room here on the side before you get down into, I believe the creek is over there as well. So let's go ahead and buy that. Yes, we want to pay $180 for that. Let's go ahead and get this guy up and running. Okay, so he is good to go. Excellent. All right, now you notice I also changed to where we were getting the straw swath out the back as well. There is our other tractor. He's ready to go whenever he is needed, so we are all set. So my plan is today we have purchased field number 53. We'll work it, or excuse me, 54. I'm going to constantly get those mixed up. So 54, and then hopefully tomorrow, when it turns into September, we will purchase 53, and the sorghum will be ready to go. Now, something else I don't believe we talked about in our very first video with everything else that was going on. You notice here the sorghum field shows 0% fertilized. Well, obviously fertilizing is going to greatly increase our yield. Same thing over here for the oats. 0 fertilization. I don't remember exactly what our first field was, but it was not 100% fertilization, I don't believe. So the yields that we've gotten so far are not the maximum yield. So keep that in mind. We have even more money waiting for us as we move forward. We still have $750,000 waiting for us. So let's talk about future plans beyond what we're doing right now here on this field, and then what we're hopefully doing in our next video here on field 53. So if we come back out, and I'm really hoping that there's nothing down there at that end that is going to cause him any trouble turning around. Here you can notice he's got plenty of room to turn around here. That is no issue whatsoever. But if we come back into the map, there is a nice little area over here. There's 2 areas I've been spying other than these 53 and 54. Area of 55 and then 51. I'm thinking about areas in the future for bees, and I'm thinking about areas for greenhouses, as well as getting into some power generation that will earn us some passive income from either the sun or the wind. So up here, I'm thinking maybe bees on field 55, and then 51, maybe an area for greenhouses. We have some housing down in this area, and then across the street over there. These are areas that we cannot purchase. You notice that I can click on fields, but I cannot purchase these areas, which is perfectly fine because there's really nothing we can do there anyway, since we cannot remove the existing buildings. So this would give us access, or at least starting access, to all of this area. That's my immediate plan. You can see field 50 is a nice size field, a nice shape as well. And then 53, you notice that it's got a slightly odd shape to it. And we run into a bit of an issue here in turning around. So if we hop over and just take a quick look, here's the area in question. Of course, we've got a little bit of road area here, so that would help. But then we get into some trees. We can remove the trees, but you're kind of running out of area before we get down into the water. So what I have thought about doing, and let's come back into the map itself, is I've thought about actually squaring this off right here and getting rid of this area of field and just using it as miscellaneous parking and so on. So not really worrying too much about it. That way we keep our field sizes very AI friendly as much as we can. So in fact, since we don't have to worry about crop destruction from running through our own fields, we don't even own this one, and we don't have to worry about the crop destruction. So let's actually hop down here to the other end of this field. Let's just take a look around here for just a moment. Now, while we're headed this way, this straw swath, I'm not going to be doing anything with that right now, probably. We could sell that, but right now we don't really have the equipment to pick it up, and I'm not sure that I really want to mess with that just yet. Of course, it'll be very useful once we get into animals. But let's see, what has this guy got down here? Not a whole lot of room to turn around. But since we're down here, let's see how he handles this. This will give me a better idea of whether or not we're going to need to make some changes to field 53. I would just assume not have to, but My ultimate goal is automation. I want these fields to be AI friendly. So if we need to get rid of trees, if we need to get rid of or change the field sizes or shapes, then I will 100% do that. Okay, he's actually turning around on the field, it looks like, at least partially. Yep, there he goes. So he's turning around. Thank goodness when the AI do that, it does not result in any crop destruction. Okay, so maybe we're perfectly fine on field 53 as is. Okay, awesome. So let's head back up toward the field that I was talking about for the bees. And we will start to look at a few other options that we're going to have going forward. All right, but yeah, that straw is going to come in very handy. Right now, I just don't think the money is worth it. But that is something I wanted to take care of for the future. All right, so here we are. We got a huge area here. And so what we can do, if we come into, now we're not going to be able to obviously put anything down, nor do I really plan to just yet. But if we come down to under the Others tab, here's where we can change our wardrobe, pick up some animals, and make some changes to the farmland, such as leveling off, things like that. If we come under construction, here you can see, here we stand right in the middle of the field. Okay, here is where we are currently with our harvesting. So we've got several options. We got buildings, production, animals, decoration, and landscaping. We got a lot of things we can do in here. And then of course, within the buildings tab, we have various containers, tools, and so on. Well, one of the things we can do is if we come under animals and then bees, as we click through here, you'll notice that they produce honey, and that honey can be sold. So all of this honey can be produced. In fact, you also notice that it says bees produce honey, which will be placed at a centralized location, and we have to place that location with this marker right here. That's where we tell the game, this is where we want you to put the boxes of honey so that we can pick them up and sell them. But the beehives can also help certain crops, and that I believe we can use to our advantage later on. Canola, potatoes, and sunflowers are very helpful for that. So we may think long term about maybe putting some sunflowers over in the general area. Now, it's potatoes there right now, but I have no desire to work with potatoes anytime soon because they're so labor intensive and time intensive as well. So let's see how our guy is doing here. He is at 60%, almost 65%. So it looks like he is going to fill up just over a full tank here. Maybe just over that, but not far from a full tank. So this is a nice size. This is going to mean that we can unload this guy really one time and get most everything out of this field. So I'm liking the look of this quite a bit. So let's hop back out and go back into our menu. So let's take a moment and come back over to our production, because our production right now, we've got flour right now, just wheat flour that's being created. We still have tons of this to do, and you can see 5 cycles per hour, and each cycle is going to use 150. So yeah, this is going to take a while, which is good for us because we're not planning on selling this until the winter time. And the reason for that is if we come over to, let's come over to our prices and pick out bread. Here you see the pricing right now. So our highest is $4,500, okay, which seems pretty nice to me, especially when considering that the other restaurant is only paying us $26. So $4,500, not too bad. But if we show the price fluctuations, August is the absolute lowest number. So we have months for these guys to take care of this. Now, unfortunately for us, in this case, months is only one day, but I still think we are perfectly fine. Who knows, at some point, if we get big enough with this, we might actually need multiple grain mills. That may be something we need to look at. Same thing with the bakery, multiple bakeries. Who knows? But for right now, we've got a little bit of time here. And that bakery is going 24/7, as well as the grain mill. So we have a little bit of time. And my plan is to sell it over the winter. Looks like January is the perfect time, but we'll see how it goes. And then we'll find out exactly how much money we will have. But that is what I am planning so far. Let's hop back over to the map. So that's going to give us field 56. We'll look at field 57 in the future, but right now it is not where I want to be, mostly because it's pretty expensive and we don't have the equipment to really work that size of a field just yet. Instead, I want to stick with this. Probably field 56 is probably the biggest field that I want to deal with right now. In fact, I think it is probably a little bit bigger than what we have equipment for, all things being considered. But 53 and 54 are looking really good. We'll pick up 55 and 51 pretty soon because 118,000 for 55. 51 is only 91,000. And then field 53 is 140. So we can pick these up for a rather small price given what we paid for 56 at 266. So we've got plenty of money left to do this work. We got 748,000. So if we're able to pick up field 53 tomorrow for 140, that's still going to leave us with plenty of money. Now we don't want to spend all of our money because we're going to need to keep some. We've got plenty more equipment to buy because, well, once we buy field 51, we're going to put down some greenhouses as well as a water tank. So there is a lot that we need to get to, and not a lot of time to get there because this calendar really forces us to get things done within a very specific amount of time. And that's why I really decided to go ahead and purchase this particular field with the oats on there. This was the last day. If we were going to get any benefit out of the current crop on this field, today was the day. Tomorrow it would all be withered, or who knows, the game might actually have it disappear altogether. So 97% on this guy. So let's go ahead and grab our trailer and let's open the cover. And we're going to do the same thing with this guy that we did last time. We are going to have this guy run right over to the grain mill and deposit. All right, so he's going to hit 100% pretty quick. And then we're going to get a notification in the top right-hand corner. And then, of course, he will throw out the collector, the chute, and let us drive underneath that. There he goes. The pipe comes out. We'll get this guy taken care of as quickly as we can. All right, so while he's unloading, let's talk a little bit more about these production chains. So I did a little bit of math. That was very rough math because I don't know exactly the prices that we're going to be getting at any given time. But the way I figure it is the difference between the traditional method of harvesting the wheat, selling the wheat, and going through this production chain is going to be about double on the pricing. Could be more than that, but I figure it's going to be somewhere around double. And again, just based on my quick math, I believe we could have gotten somewhere around $56,000 for the bread if it were all done right now at the lowest prices of the season. I believe we could have gotten about that for it, but I bring you back to our pricing. That's here at the bottom. We've got nothing but clear skies ahead, assuming, of course, that it always goes according to this schedule. If that is the way it goes year after year, if it is, then we are in very good shape and could very easily double or triple our money, because I have no idea what scale this is using and how much the difference is between the price here and the price here. No idea. But I cannot wait to find out. All right, so we're going to let this guy go ahead and finish off what he is doing. We're going to hop out and let him do his thing. Again, I just love the look of that straw swath there. It's just what a field is supposed to look like when you can get the straw in there. All right, so this guy, you notice here, he is... I'm being thoroughly impressed by the AI so far. Now, we saw that the AI on his way up to the grain mill, he slowed down. He had some definite hitches, but he didn't run into anything. And he didn't get stuck on anything, and that is the biggest thing for me. Again, AI friendly. I want AI friendly curves, AI friendly shapes, and so on. And I just noticed that our combine, where down at that end where he's got a little less room to work with because of the railroad, I noticed that he made his turn on the field, whereas here he made his turn since he had plenty of room out on this little road area as well as into another field. So that was very interesting that it decided to do that. I really would have thought they would have just had them do one method all the time, but it doesn't appear as though that's the case. So again, I like what I'm seeing from the AI. Now, if we hop back over, let's actually look at the AI screen. So this guy, if we go into create job, you notice one of the really good things, and I did this a lot with course play, is this guy has the same thing up and running. Because whenever I first restarted the game, because I have turned off the game and since done a lot of other things other than play Farming Simulator, when I restarted the game, the AI was not engaged, but as soon as I came back in, he's ready to go. So that is good. Is the AI job seems to be attached to this certain tractor. So if we can have dedicated equipment for dedicated tasks, then that should help quite a bit with a lot of tedious stuff about actually assigning jobs and tasks. So I like it. So far, so good. The only difference is if we move him around, like right now, he's set up to loop, so he will take it up to the grain mill, but then he's going to come right back over to field 56. But other than that, hey, I can live with that. I can certainly live with that. That is not a deal breaker. Again, just looking for anything that can help us out. All right, this guy is... Don't you love it when this happens? Does he have what? Like just a couple of... Yeah, he's just going to have a very small bit left here on the side. Yeah, so this harvest will not be all that good because we had weeds and no fertilizer. So this harvest will not be amazing at all. All right, let's actually hop on board. Let's see what he does. I noticed when he finished off the previous field, he actually did not get all of it. He left a full... Yeah, he left almost a full row over on the other field. I'm going to see what he does here. Is that enough for him to detect that he needs to go down one more time? If he doesn't, then that's not the end of the world for me. Let's see what he does. Now, it looks like he is going to make the turn. Yep, there he goes. He goes off the backside. So he must detect that there's no immediate threats in the area, no trees, no water, anything like that to worry about. So he turns off the field. All right, so we'll ride along with this guy, let him finish this last row up. Then we'll take the remainder of the oats over to our trailer, and we will be done for the day. So this is, quite frankly, more than I expected to get done. Our money is going a lot farther than I had originally expected. Now, coming up very soon, we're going to need to purchase or lease more equipment. We're going to need another tractor. In all likelihood, we're going to need another tractor, and then we are going to need some way to sow our fields. And we'll have to make some decisions on how we're going to do that and what equipment we're going to use. I prefer the type of equipment that allows us to skip a couple of steps for time-saving purposes, but we'll see how it goes. But $748, almost $750,000 is what we have right now, and things are going very well. We just have to keep in mind that our money, we're not going to have any income until probably around January, December, January, February, somewhere in that time frame. All right, so this guy's going to finish up. He should disengage all on his own, and sure enough, he does. So I'm going to go ahead and take over. I'm going to move the pipe out, and then let's see if we can actually, all right, if we can get this thing lined up. This is not the best angle. There we go. Oh, come back here now. There we go. All right, we'll let this guy finish off. About 10% left in the tank. All right, go ahead and bring the pipe back in. Then we'll hop out and we will get our trailer on its way. Okay, so now back to use the H key, back to the worker menu. So create a job. Everything is already set to go. Now I'm going to leave it on looping, knowing that he's only going to do this one time. But if I take it off of looping, he will simply stay up here. Okay, I accidentally did that as I was finishing up field 56, and he just stayed right here at the tipping area. So then I had to bring him back down. But if I leave it on looping, he will come back over to field 56, which is perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and start that job. Give him a second to get that registered and figured out what he's going to do. All right, he says he's blocked by an object. He is not. All right, oh, no, unless you start doing that. Unless you cut straight across, then you are. All right, do not hit a tree, please. All right, you can tell he's confused right now. He's not sure where he's going, but he appears to be going between the trees. Although I don't have a great deal of confidence in that right now. All right, there he goes. Who knows? Here in a few minutes, I might find him over there in that little pond, which is beautiful, by the way. All right, in the meantime, I'm going to bring this guy over to what I hope will be our next field that we purchase and then work. Our sorghum field, number 53. So I'm going to get this guy lined up. Now, when we started today's video, that's where this guy was already lined up. And the reason I did that is because our original plan was to purchase this field for today's video, but then it showed me that it was not quite ready to be harvested, so change of plans. So we'll leave this guy here. And all right, this guy is off and running. He's got 14,800 liters on board. That's going to make a lot of flour, which in turn will make a lot of bread. That's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and stick around for more Farming Simulator 22.